And of course, it is my honor and privilege to be facilitating this conference. Let us get straight to the point and introduce the panel before us. We do have the Minister of Police, General Bheki Cele, who is joined by the National Commissioner of South African Police Service, General Sithole. And to the left of General Sithole is the Crime Registrar of the SAPS, Major General Sikukune. And with that, we will just call upon the Minister of Police to come and deliver his opening remarks, and this will be followed by a presentation of the actual crime statistics. Thank you, Minister.
What do I do here? Take. Oh, okay. Okay. At least it wasn't me. National Commissioner of the South African Police General Capita Comparison, Deputy National Commissioners present here, Special Nchinga and Simula. The provincial commissioners that could be on the platform, the Secretary of Police, Mr. Ropia, the COO of SIRA, Sam Chauke, senior officers present here, head of entities, all heads of departments, and members of the media. Everybody, good afternoon. The crime figures that will be presented here today are from cases reported to the South African Police Service from the 1st of July 2021 to the 30th September 2021-2022 financial year. This is a period when the country was under lockdown level 4, 3, and 2. These statistics are compared to a corresponding period in the 2019-2020 financial, whereby the country was under lockdown level 3, 2, and 1. These crime figures are certainly not reflecting a crime holiday. They are neither as alarming as the previous quarter figures, which were skewed, as figures of the period that had no lockdown restrictions were compared to a period where the country was placed under the hard lockdown. This crime data will also give the nation a glimpse of the crimes that took place during July unrest, which were categorized by vicious destruction of infrastructure, warehouses, and looting of business premises. This unrest also claimed the lives of 342 people in Gauteng and in KwaZulu-Natal provinces in particular. In the 3 months of reporting, a 20.7% increase in murder was recorded. However, when compared with the previous normal period of 2019-2020 financial year, a period with no lockdown, the murder percentage change would have been a 13.2% increase. Between July 2021 to end of September 2021, 6,163 people were killed in South Africa. That's a really bad number. This is 1,056 more people killed compared to the corresponding period in the previous financial year. Compared to the period without lockdown, this would have been resulted in the increase of 717 deaths. Ladies and gentlemen, among the many other factors that contributed to the increase in murders was the July unrest, which affected mostly the KwaZulu-Natal province and Gauteng. This is evidenced by KwaZulu-Natal province recording 44.4% increase in its murder case in the period of July to September this year. 44.4% increase. That gave us 1,744 people were killed during this time in that province, an increase of 536 more lives lost compared to the same comparative period. 229 more people were murdered in Gauteng province between July and September 2021. While it is clear that July unrest contributed to the murder figures before us, we must concede that other provinces such as Free State, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, Northern Cape, and the Northwest recorded double digits increase in murder cases during this reporting period. However, a glimpse of hope is shining through from the Western Cape province. It is the only province to record a decrease in its murder during this period. Out of the top 20 murder stations, the Harare, Khayelitsha, Nyanga police station in Western Cape recorded decrease in their murder figures. We remain encouraged by the decrease and attribute them to the resourcing of policing in Western Cape through more personnel and vehicles deployed and at the identified spots, especially in the Cape Town metropole. I repeat, the Western Cape receives the lion's share of policing resources and funding to bring about peace and stability. To date, SAPS has injected the most resources in that province and the province of KZN compared to all other provinces. We see that from the intervention in place in the Western Cape, they beginning to bear fruit, and we are seeing a pattern of stability emerging. In this instance, then stabilization resources would then be deployed to other hotspots provinces, including intra-provincial redistribution of resources in Western Cape. We are making a call to the province to work in conjunction with the SAPS in the utilization of resources they are plowing into the fight against crime. We believe this will give us better results when we work as a collective in order to sustain what we have achieved. According to this data, under the murder, 1,334 murders occurred at the homes of the victims or the perpetrator. From the sample of 5,176 cases, it was determined that a total of 2,424 people were murdered in public places such as streets, open field, parking areas, and abandoned buildings. 424 of the murders occurred at taverns, shebeens, nightclubs, and bottle stores. Liquor outlets are the third most likely place to be killed in South Africa. A total of 23 South African police service officers were killed between July and September 2021. Most were killed, which happens to be 6 of them, were killed in KwaZulu-Natal province, followed by Gauteng and Western Cape, each recorded 4. Overall conduct crimes increased by 1% if a comparison is made to a normal period prior to the country being placed under lockdown. This would have been resulted in a decrease of 10.7% under normal circumstances compared to the same period. The top 4 causative factors of murders in South Africa are arguments, acts of mob justice, vigilantism, robberies, and gang-related matters. Rape, again, bad news and bad figure. 9,556 people were raped between July and September 2021. This figure of almost 10,000 people are raped only in 3 months. This is an increase of 634 cases, amounting to 7.1 increase compared to the previous reporting period. A sample of 6,144 rape cases revealed that 3,951 of the rape incidents took place at the home of the victim or the home of the rapist. Liquor and drugs were involved in 1,383 of the rape cases. 400 rape cases were domestic violence related, meaning victims and perpetrators have a relationship. The Temba police station in Gauteng, Togoyando station in Limpopo, Eastern Cape in Lusigisigi, or Lusigisigi in Eastern Cape, and Inanda and KZN police stations recorded the highest incidence of rape. Inanda and Lusigisi have been displaced this time by Temba and Limpopo. They usually lead Lusigisi and Inanda. With almost 10,000 people being brutalized and sexually violated in just 3 months in South Africa, is a disgrace and deeply disturbing. The majority of people raped are women and those most vulnerable in our society. These statistics show they are often violated by people they know and trust, in the comfort of their own homes or in places where they thought they were safe. This is a terrible and a bad trend. When people they think they are safe there, when they think they are with the people that are supposed to protect them, and they are violated by the same people at the same place. It is encouraging that victims and survivors of rape and other sexual assault will at all times have access to the evidence collection kit, also known as rape kit, at their nearest police station. We've managed to keep police stations stocked on this one. In our continued efforts as SAPS to avoid secondary victimization at police station, the rolling out of GBV desk is on course. The GBV desk are manned by police officers specifically trained to provide victim-centered assistance to victims of GBV. To date, 134 such desks are in operation, and the goal is to have GBV desk in all police stations countrywide. Majority of our police stations now have victim-friendly facilities. On the same score, the police ministry and the SAPS management are rolling out the turnaround strategy that is making inroads in tackling the DNA backlog. Experience at SAPS Forensic Science Laboratories. We are confident that we will, in the near future, be able to take the nation into confidence and announce progress made on the DNA backlog. Regarding sexual offences, a 4.7% increase is recorded when compared to the previous reporting period. This figure is revised to a decrease of 12.9% if compared to the previous normal period of 2019-2020 financial year. We have some farm attacks. 15 murders occurred on farms and small holdings between the months of July and September 2021. This is 2 more murders compared to the previous reporting period. Property-related crimes. While all property-related crimes decreased by 6.2%, police continued to clamp down on stock theft, which recorded a decrease of 9.2%. If comparison was to be made, the normal period of 2019-2020, this would have resulted in 15.4% decrease in stock theft cases. Stock theft decreased by 9.2% with decline cases in 7 of the country's 9 provinces. The highest volume decrease was recorded in the Northern Cape with 119 less incidents. Burglary at non-residential premises recorded double-digit increase of 18.2%. This increase comes as the country enjoys fewer lockdown restrictions and going back to the normal economic activity. Ladies and gentlemen, the SAPS crime data is again demonstrating that South Africa is a very violent country. This is evidenced by double-digit percentage increase in all assault categories. 72,762 cases of common assault and assault GBH were opened with the police in the 3 months of reporting. Over 13,000 of assault cases were domestic violence related, meaning the victims and perpetrator have a relationship. Alcohol and drugs were involved in 3,695 of the assault GBH cases. The top 3 areas of occurrence of these assaults are at the home of the victim or perpetrator, public places, and liquor outlets. Argument remains the top motive for assault cases. Over 13,000 of the assault cases were reported for this reason, followed by the retaliation or revenge. Trio crimes. Regarding the country's most feared crimes, which includes robbery and the residential and non-residential robberies, recorded a decrease of 6.7% and 1.4% respectively. That is residential and non-residential, reported this decrease. Aggravated robberies such as carjacking increased by 3.5% compared to the previous corresponding period. This figure would have increased by 1.9% if compared to the same period in 2019-2020. The Harare and Nyanga stations in Western Cape and the Tembisa station in Gauteng recorded the highest incidence of car hijacking. There were 388 less residential robberies in the month of July to September compared to the corresponding period in the previous financial year. The Mpumalanga and Free State provinces are the only provinces to record percentage increases in residential robberies. CIT is known as a cash ice. Police are starting to make much needed gains in responding to brazen gangs targeting cash vans. 12 less cash in transit tests were committed between July and September this year. A double-digit percentage decrease of 18.8% in CIT is welcomed and is largely owed to heightened police visibility and the interception of would-be gangs through the intelligence gathering. However, 52 such attacks in 3 months is unacceptably high, and police must respond firmly. That is why the call will be made to the management led by the National Commissioner that police must continue dealing with these cases. All conduct-related crimes such as arson and malicious damage to property recorded increase. There were 298 more cases of arson reported between July to September 2021. This is a 30.2% increase compared to the same time last year. There were 28,988 cases of conduct-related crime reported the police during this reporting period. This is 1,997 more such cases compared to the previous reporting period. As mentioned earlier, the quarter 2 2021 crime figures demonstrate the extent of wanton looting, arson and damage to property and loss of life that occurred during July unrest. Kidnappings. There have been 2,000 kidnappings cases reported to the police between July to September 2021. Majority of the kidnapping reported were hijacking related, followed by kidnappings which were robbery and rape related. Out of sample of 620 cases, 52 kidnapping cases were ransom related, and most occurred in Gauteng province. 7 kidnappings were as a result of human trafficking also. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, while the crime picture painted here today is not ideal, it is certainly getting better with time planning as deployment of resources where they are needed most. The decrease in aggravated robberies, including CITs, residential and non-residential robberies, should give South Africans hope that the SAPS is making inroads in policing these crimes. Certainly, More can and must and will be done to ensure that South Africans are safe and feel safe. Therefore, at this juncture, I will allow General Tulares Kukuni to give us the raw figures and percentages as usually does. To you, General Kukuni. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Minister, National Commissioner, the public at large, colleagues. I'll be taking you through the Q2 crime statistics, which happened between the period of July to September in the current financial year. The Minister has been elaborate in terms of going through the statistics. I'll try to summarize and provide highlights where there's need to emphasize certain aspects of the crime stats. We talked about the comparison between the normal period and the pre-COVID-19 instances. If you look at, I just want to take my pointer there. This thing is too... Okay. This period here, where the pointer is, it shows the comparison between 2019-2020 compared to 2020-2021, same period. That is in July to September. And these are the crime stats figures that were released at that point in time. Now, the current quarter that we are working on is the July to September 2021 compared to July to September 2021-2022, which is indicated by the purple color coded. Then at the far end, we had a comparison of 2019-2021. That is, we are comparing instances of the current lockdown periods, whereby we are comparing to the pre-lockdown periods and see how the comparison would have been. Because ideally, in terms of statistics, it is ideally that when you do the comparison, you compare apples with apples. So periods where there was no lockdown compared to a period which has lockdown normally creates a skewed picture, etc. So we try and look at what the situation would have been had there been no lockdown, etc. And then we compare to the period in 2019-2020. I will not go into the details of this, but I will just touch on some aspects of the table that we are normally used to. In terms of the murders, we have had an increase of 20.7% increase. Sexual offences, an increase of 4.7. Attempted murder, an increase of 4.4. Assault GBH, an increase of 2.1. Common assault, an increase of 0.8. And then common robbery, we had a decrease of 2.5, followed by another decrease of robbery with aggravating circumstances of 3.9%. And overall, the total contact crimes increased by 1.0%. In the breakdown of the sexual offences, these rapes have already been indicated here under sexual offences. So in this paragraph, or in this 4 lines, we break down what constitute the sexual offences. They are made up of rape, sexual assault, attempted sexual offences, contact sexual offences, and then the total, which is the total sexual offences. So if one looks at that breakdown, the only crime that has increased within that category is the rape, which has increased by 7.1%. Then the breakdown of the robberies with aggravating circumstances, whereby we have 6 crimes that make up that category, which is carjacking, robbery at residential premises, non-residential, cash in transit, bank robbery, and truck hijacking. Then again, similar to the total sexual offences, the only crime that has increased within that category was the carjacking, which increased by 3.5% or 170 cases more. Then we also do what is called a per capita comparison, whereby we take the total population of the country, break them into equal portions of per 100,000, and look at what is called the rates. This is normally calculated only for crimes whereby the victim is a person. We used the mid-year population estimates obtained from Status A using the 2017 series mid-August as the comparison period. Then when we do that, our murders came to 10.2, meaning out of a total population of 100,000, the probability of a person being killed out of the 100,000 is a 10.2. Then for rape, the rape per 100,000 is 15.8, attempted murder 8.5, assault GBH 559.0 per 100,000, then common assault 61.5 per 100,000, then common robbery 15.9 per 100,000. Then concluding, we had the two crimes which make up what is called contact-related crimes, which are made up of arson and malicious damage to property. That category has increased by 7.45%, and mostly it was attributable to the unrest that happened in the month of July, affecting mostly the provinces of Gauteng and KZN. Then property-related crimes, it is made up of 5 crimes, which is burglary at non-res and burglary at res, theft of motor vehicle and theft out of motor vehicle, and stock theft. Now, out of all those 5 crimes that I've just mentioned that make up property-related crimes, the only one that has increased in there is burglary at non-residential premises, which increased by 2,895 counts and percentage change of 18.2. The others, burglary at residential premises, decreased by 3,355. Theft of motor vehicle and motorcycle decreased by 1,425. Theft out of or from motor vehicle decreased by 3,379. Then stock theft decreased by 676, and the overall category of property-related crimes decreased by 5,940, resulting in a percentage decrease of 6.2. Then in the other serious crimes, the only crime that has decreased there was shoplifting, and then those that are detected as a result of police action, we have the ideal situation is to have these crimes being on the increase, because they are a proxy of a proactive and visible and intelligence-driven operation. We had the one that is increased there, it's a drug-related crime, and overall total crime detected as a result of police action increased by 1.5%. Now, on this table, this is what the Minister alluded to in his opening remarks, that we are comparing 2 periods whereby at the current quarter we were at level 4, then we moved to level 3 in the month of August, then in September we moved to the level 2. This is compared to the previous year's July, where we were at level 3 from the 1st of July to the 17th. Then in August, we were at level 2, that is in the previous financial year, from the 18th of August to the 20th of September. And then in September, we were at level 1 lockdown. So you can see here that we are comparing different lockdown levels. And also in terms of the crime picture that emerges, you will see that different lockdown levels also has an impact in terms of the crime that are recorded. For instance, if you're comparing level 3 and level 4, you'll find that in most cases the level 4 lockdown will result in lesser crimes than level 3 lockdown, solely based on the curfew periods and the restrictions that are included within that particular period. So it comes as no surprise then when we have recorded a decrease of 2,066 in the month of July. However, in August, whereby we were now at level 3 and 2, we had an increase of 5,109, and again in September, when we're comparing level 1 and 2, we had another decrease of 4,801. The provincial breakdown, I believe as I'm talking there, the provincial breakdown is evident there at the bottom, and then there's no need for me to repeat what is already reflected there. Then the 17 community reported crimes, the minister has touched on this. What I would just add on that is that 10 of the stations that are in the top 30 are in the province of Gauteng, 8 are in KZN, and again another 8 in the province of the Western Cape. Then moving on to contact crimes, whereby we are now focusing and zooming in onto the murder, attempted murder, rape, and robberies with aggravating circumstances. The broad contact crimes increased by 1.0%. That is an increase of 1,324, and the two provinces that have recorded decreases for the contact crimes was the province of Mpumalanga and the Western Cape, both with 5, and the other one with 1,562. And for the month of July, we had a decrease of 2,140. August, we had an increase of 6,020, and then in September, another reduction of 2,556. Then the top 30 contact crime stations, they are led there at the top by Nyanga, followed by Johannesburg Central, and then Temba at number 3. What is worth mentioning in this top 30 contact crime station is that they are made up only of 3 provinces. That is the province of Gauteng, which has 15 stations in there. Western Cape had 8 stations in there, and KZN had 7 stations in there. Then the murder for the month of August, we had recorded an increase of 450. In July, 450. In August, 385. In September, 221. And the only province that recorded a decrease in the murder was the Western Cape. The country as a whole recorded an increase of 1,056 murders more when compared to the previous period. Then in terms of the top 30 murder stations, the province that had the highest number of stations in the top 30 murder stations was the province of KwaZulu-Natal, which had 12, Western Cape had 8, and then Gauteng province had 6. Causative factors, again from a sample of different samples of 5,176 for murder, attempted murder, a sample of 4,784, assault GBH from a sample of 25,118. What is worth noting here is that ideally we aspire to do a complete enumeration of all the murder cases, assault GBH, and attempted murder cases. However, because we are working on a live system, in some instances it becomes impractical to have access to the dockets because some are still being investigated. So we wouldn't want to compromise service delivery at the expense of being statistically 100% accurate. But that being said, the samples that have been drawn are equally representative and almost close to a complete enumeration as possible. Because if you look at the sample that was drawn for murder, it is almost 84. The sample that was drawn for attempted murder is somewhere in the region of 90 and above. The sample for assault GBH, similarly, it's in the upper level. So in terms of statistical comparability, these reflect as accurate a picture as you would have obtained had you drawn the complete sample. And one also needs to keep in mind that the more homogeneous population you have, the lesser sample size you need to draw. So these samples are as accurate as almost a complete enumeration. The minister talked that the arguments and misunderstandings that are not domestic related was the highest contributors in terms of the murder. Mob justice and vigilantism was number 2. We had illicit mining there, which contributed 6. And then we also had carjacking, whereby 33 of the murders were as a result of carjacking or attempted carjacking. We also had 60 murders, 90 murders, which were attributable to taxi-related incidents. Then looking at the crimes against women and children, first for the women, we had an increase of 64 murders that were reported. against women. That is from a total population of 897. That is the 897 or the total number of women that were murdered in the current financial year, resulting in an increase of 64. Then attempted murders, we had 1,155, resulting in an increase of 82. For children, we had 287 children that were killed, an increase of 69 more children that were killed. Then for attempted murder is 283, an increase of 36. The children in this instance takes into consideration both the boy and the girl child. Then in terms of causative factors for murder, I will just touch on those aspects that I feel maybe need to be elaborated on. KZN was the leading province which indicated the arguments as the causative factors of murder, resulting as 290 attributable to arguments. The second highest was the Western Cape with 131. The third highest was the Eastern Cape with 127. Gang-related, the highest was indicated to be the Western Cape with 131. And remember, this is from a sample. However, if one were to do a complete enumeration, which was done in the province, we discovered that the total number of murders that were attributable to gang-related murders was 236, because they did a complete enumeration, whereas others, we did a sample. Then the places of occurrence, as the minister has already indicated, mostly happened at the public places, followed by the residence of the perpetrators. This is in most cases similar pattern that is followed for murder, attempted murder, and assault GBH. In terms of the murders of police officials, we had 8 police officials killed while in the line of duty, and 15 succumbed to injuries while they were off duty. In total, in the current quarter, we had 23 police officers which were killed. That is 3 more than the previous quarter. Murders of farming community, we had 10 incidents which has resulted in 15 victims being killed. That is, there were 15 murder victims which were attributed to farming community or farm murders. Then victims of farmers who are farm dwellers and workers who were attacked by farmers and farm management. We had 2 cases of assault GBH, 1 each in Gauteng and Limpopo. We had attempted murder in Limpopo, and we had another assault in the Free State. In total, we had 4 incidents or crimes that were committed by farmers against farm dwellers or people who are living on the farms. Then in terms of the use and abuse of alcohol in the commission of crimes, this is instances whereby it has been confirmed that the victim or the perpetrator had consumed alcohol either prior or during the commission of the crime. We had 290 such cases of murder whereby it was confirmed that either the victim or the perpetrator had used alcohol. And then 34 of the murders, it was indicated that there was the use of drugs. In rapes, 1,383 rapes were confirmed that alcohol was involved, and 154 rapes were confirmed that drugs were involved. And then assault GBH, we had 3,589 assault GBH attributable to the use and abuse of alcohol, and 106 to the use of drugs. Murders that happened at a tavern, shebeen or pub, these were 424 murders, 142 attempted murders, and 45 rapes. Then we had across all the months for attempted murder, July, August, and September, all the attempted murders had increased. And then these are the top 30 stations for attempted murder. Then in terms of rape, we had a decrease in the month of July, followed by an increase in the month of August of 743, then another decrease in the month of September of 60. The 2 provinces that had recorded decreases in terms of rape was the Northern Cape and the Western Cape. Then in terms of the top 30 rape stations, we had the highest being Temba, then we had Thohoyandou. in the analysis that we did when we looked into Thohoyandou, of the 69 rapes that had occurred there, 28 or 39, I think, were as a result of statutory rape, whereby the victim was a minor child. And similarly to the national rape picture, most of the rapes happened at the residence of the perpetrator or at the residence of the victim. Then places of rape for the general population of people who were or where the rapes occurred, again, the highest contributor was the residences of the perpetrator, whereby KZN in this instance reported 944. Then at public places, KZN again was the highest with 293, and the Eastern Cape with 198. Then looking at the domestic violence, we had, these are instances whereby either the victim or the perpetrator had some kind of a domestic relationship, be it ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, ex-husband, ex-whatever, and uncles, etc. That is, there is a domestic relationship between the victim and the perpetrator. We had 136 of the murders attributable to people who are known and have some domestic kind of relationship to the victim. The female population there was 76 and the male was 60. Attempted murders, we had 107 where there was a relationship. 70 of the victims were female and 37 were male. Then common assault, we had 9,454, whereby 7,715 victims were female and 1,739 were male. Then that, I believe, summarizes what we call the contact crimes, whereby the specific victim is a person. Then we go to the robberies with aggravating circumstances and we look at carjacking. We had a decrease of carjacking in the month of July of 81. Then in August we had an increase of 70. Then in September we had an increase of 181. In total for the whole country, we had an increase of 170 carjacking. That is, we have recorded 4,973, and the increase there is 171 compared to the previous period. This resulted in a 3.5% increase. Then the top 30 stations for carjacking, what can one mention there is that 20 of these top 30 stations in carjacking are those stations in the province of Gauteng. Robbery at residential premises, we had a decrease across all the months, July, August, and September. And these are the top 30 stations, robbery at residential premises. And then in terms of robberies at non-residential premises, again, we had decreases across the months of July, August, and September. And the only provinces that have recorded increases was the Eastern Cape with 102 or 103 more, Gauteng with 21 more, Mpumalanga with 45 more, and the Northwest with 19 more. Then robbery at non-residential premises, top 30 stations. I wouldn't go into the detail there. I'd rather move to robbery of cash in transit, whereby we had the province of the Eastern Cape, Free State, Limpopo, Northwest, having recorded increases of 7, 2, and 2 and 1 respectively. Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, and the Western Cape recorded decreases, and overall we had a decrease of 12 cash in transit in the current period. Then in kidnappings, we included the kidnappings in the short summarized version of the presentation, but throughout the years it has always been included in the larger version, which will then be uploaded onto the SAPS website. And what we would like to highlight with regard to the kidnappings is that kidnappings in some instances happen together with other crimes. For instance, in a hijacking instance whereby if you are driving down the road and a person opens the door to your car, points a gun at you and instructs you to drive to a particular location, in terms of the law, that is a kidnapping because that person has denied you the freedom of movement. So there are instances whereby the kidnapping happened together with another crime, like carjacking. And there are instances whereby kidnapping happened together with the other crime, like rape. For instance, if a lady is forcefully taken from a place or whatever the place it might be, and the crux of the matter is being denied freedom of movement forcefully or through threats, then that on its own automatically it's a kidnapping. So those are instances whereby we had kidnapping cases happening. So we had kidnappings across the month of July, August and September, and we had Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, Mpumalanga and Northwest recording increases, and in the whole country we had 2,000 cases and an increase of 45 kidnapping cases. And then the top 30 stations are led there by Johannesburg Central, and then Inanda at number 2 and Tembisa at number 3. Circumstances around which kidnapping happened, I have already touched on the fact that some of the kidnappings happened together with the carjacking. Some are robbery related, some are rape related, taxi related, domestic violence and ransom. We had Gauteng recording 270 hijacking related, and then we also had robbery related. For Gauteng again was 116, and we also had 66 domestic related kidnappings, whereby 18 were in Gauteng, 14 in KZN, and then 10 were in the Eastern Cape. Then we moved to property-related crimes. We had decreases across all the 3 months of July, August and September. 379 reduction in July, followed by another reduction of 2,506 in August, and then 3,055 in September. The two provinces that recorded increases in property-related crime was KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo, of 1,717 and 81 respectively. Then these are the top 30 stations for property-related crimes, and then the leading stations there, both at number 1 and number 2, is Pound Town and Durban Central, and then we had Brook Lane at number 3, Cape Town Central at number 3, at number 4. And then the last crime that we looked into was stock theft, whereby we had decreases across the months of July, August and September of 136, 346, 194 respectively, and only Limpopo and the Northwest recorded increases of 37 and 40 respectively. Then in terms of the top 30 stations, the leading station there for stock theft is Sulenkama, followed by Montfrere, which are both in the Eastern Cape, then Amangwe at number 3 in the KwaZulu-Natal, Kumbu and Tsolo and Mthatha at number 4 to number 6, all from the Eastern Cape. And that Minister gives a summary of the Q2 crime statistics covering the period from July to September. The full version of the presentation, together with the drop-down menus, will be uploaded onto the SAPS website. I thank you.
Thank you very much, General, for that presentation. And thank you very much, Minister, as well, for the opening remarks. With that, colleagues in the media, let's open it up for some Q&A. I know that there are media houses that are in-house and also some people that are joining us virtually. I do believe that we will also have some questions via WhatsApp. Is that correct, Ignatius? All right, let's just start maybe here in Pretoria with a show of hands. You know the drill. Please introduce yourselves, as well as the media house that you represent, and then, of course, who you're directing your question to. I'll start with you, ENCA, Newsroom Africa, and SABC, in that order.
Thank you so much. It's Govan Whittles from ENCA. Minister, you said that Deputy Commissioner, you've attributed the rise in murders to the unrest, particularly in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. You've recorded double-digit increases, though, in the other provinces except the Western Cape. What do you believe is behind the rise in the number of murders in those provinces that weren't affected by the unrest? And with regards to the increase in the number of rape cases, do you have any idea what's behind this? And what's your commentary, concern that it's going in that direction?
All right. Yes, Newsroom Africa.
Good morning, Michelle from Newsroom Africa, to Minister and Commissioner. On the issue of the property crimes and perhaps even hijacking, would you say that post this period, is there going to be a particular focus on police visibility? Was it due to a lack of police visibility that you attribute those particular crimes, particularly, you know, the house breaking, perhaps even hijacking, those kind of contact crimes?
All right, Stimo.
Thanks, Ranzu. Stimo, SABC News. Minister and Commissioner, I'd like to find out the data that you gather from the crime stats, is it not able to be used to curb certain crimes? Like I heard it being mentioned that the trends that actually lead to assault, that lead to murder and assault GBH are all the same. These incidents happen after alcohol consumption, or they are led by arguments, or they happen at taverns. So is it this data that is being gathered on a yearly basis being able to be used in order to curb the crimes themselves? And also, in the previous quarter, is it possible to get a comparison between the last quarter and the previous quarter in terms of rape and murder? Thank you.
On that last question, Stimo, those figures are available. We did release the last quarter 3 months ago, so you're more than welcome to go to our website and you can get that.
Yes, I was hoping just to get a comparison in terms of, you know, they were comparing the same period last year, and we didn't sort of get the comparison in terms of rape and murder in terms of the previous quarter and this quarter. Has it increased or has it decreased? I'd like to get the analysis.
Okay, then maybe the crime register will give you some more clarity on that. Minister, would you take the first batch of questions? Thank you.
I really take very few. General will say to the rest. Maybe let me start with the last question. Of the stats, the stats are there for several things, but mention two is for the community just to understand what's going on and be part of solutions. It's true that statistics must be used to reduce crime situation. Indeed, it is so. We believe that if we're not there and utilize, situation could be worse. But also, it helps to find the indicators of crime, and crime cannot be dealt by policing only and the law enforcement agencies only. You raise the issue of crime and shipments. Without fail, including last week, Commissioner, where we were in Limpopo, without fail, when you go and you look the profiles of the communities, without fail, all of them, you find that schools together, clinics together, spaza shops together, churches, they are less than the shibins. All the communities, African communities that we have attended. Let me make that point. African communities. Whether you go to Liaboa Home, whether you go to Mlazi, whether you go to Orange Farm, whether you go to Kailisha, the biggest presence would be on shibins and taverns and bottle stores. And you have seen the relationship of alcohol and crime, especially murder and rape. Therefore, other departments and other levels of government, like your local government, like your people responsible for issuing liquor licenses, like boards and all, must come on the part here. They must be part of resolving the problem by reducing. No doubt that alcohol increases and it generates more crime. So it will help on doing those things. But the other one, we have raised this thing time and again with other sister departments. One thing that we have raised time and again as the police is what you call environmental design. When you go to the place where there is no electricity, I join police really a lot on the operations. There is no light. You go there. We visited one place in Western Cape 2 weeks ago. It was rainy and all dark. You see until the end of your hand, so it can't go beyond that. And there are no streets, there are no house numbers. So if somebody runs and gets somewhere, you can't explain that you'll get that criminal in road so and so and the number so and so. Those are the things that contribute a lot. But also, people will get out at night in some other, going to toilet, and they would be raped in the middle of the night, early hours and all. So environmental design, the proper infrastructure, housing, house numbers, streets, will contribute a lot in the reduction of crime. So those are the calls that we make. You know that a lot of crime happens at school and all that. So relationship will have to work on that. So these crime stats are raised with other sister departments. Can you do this? Can you do that? Let's work together on this. Well, unfortunately, in the minds of the society is that you see the crime, you see the police. They don't even link the police with the cluster. That after police there is prosecution. After prosecution there is magistrates and there is correctional service. You will be surprised to understand that there is a lot of crime that is planned in correctional services, in prison. During elections, one dealt with one MMC here in Gauteng who was threatened, and they work on extortion. When the police followed that information, the person is in prison who's doing that thing. So these statistics then helps across the board. They are really working. The only thing is that all of us will have to respond to them. So that's a question that I wanted to take. So National Commissioner, including the General Skukun, will respond to the rest. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Minister, for the opportunity. Let me also thank the media as well for the constructive questions. The one question the Minister has already related to, what I can just add there is the moral fiber, which is continuously deteriorating. And this has gone to an extent where some of the human and spiritual values got injured. And remember, that's not the responsibility of the police to repair them. But from an interventional perspective, we then introduce the moral fiber investment strategy and as well as the spiritual crime prevention concept. Then the focus on visibility. I think the response to this question is yes, and we're at a period of heightened visibility. Firstly, you have seen us launching the Country in Blue concept recently in KZN. And we are also continuously working on the increase or the enhanced recruitment of the Community in Blue concept under the community policing strategy. We are also mobilizing the youth through youth crime prevention across the country. Within the reservist concept, we have decided to increase the force multipliers And that's where we also introduce the Tourism Reserve Police Service and as well as the Royal Reserve. We are also enhancing partnership with security companies, with banks, which is the private sector side of things. And our intention is to be everywhere. While we are also looking at COVID-19 restrictions, as the country is opening, we are also trying to reintroduce recruitment and training of the police so that we can work on the police numbers. So, and to complement the physical resources that we have, we've also introduced the Safer City, in which we're running it in the 10 pilot cities, where we revert to technology to enhance visibility. To a certain extent, we are also starting other pilots on drone policing. I think on the question of using the data for planning, I think the statistician will elaborate on this question, but I wanted to say, yes, these statistics are operational statistics, and they are there for planning and to change their approaches. Each and every time they are released, there's a response action plan to the crime statistics, where we will either be responding to certain hotspots, or we will be responding to certain crime or specific modus operandi in order to sustain areas where we're doing well, or change strategies where there's new crime trends developing. Thank you.
I guess the only question or two that I have to respond to, it's about the comparison of quarter one to quarter two, etc. Well, it can be done because normally in statistical terms you have what is called a reference period, whereby you would want to assess the current reference period to the previous financial year's reference period, which is the approach that we have undertaken. Now, if you want to bring in quarter one comparing it to quarter two, you are changing the focus of the analysis, and now it becomes a longitudinal study. So if we want us to do that, we can do that separately. But the idea here is to compare how are we doing in the current quarter compared to the previous quarter. And mind you, we are also grappling with the issue of how are we going to work around the annual crime stats, whereby in the annual crime stats you have a comparison, a longitudinal comparison, which will give you also the trend that you want to see from one quarter to the next quarter. So I think somehow we will be moving towards analysis paralysis, whereby we analyze too much quarter to quarter, current quarter to current quarter, previous quarter to current quarter, and then again you have the same thing repeating itself at the end of the financial year, where all the data is summarized and again used. So we can do that, but then it means that we have two reference periods for the stats, which is quarter to quarter and then 6 months, because once you do that, now you move from quarter to quarter comparison. It's kind of like a 6 months but broken down in quarters and then compared, which is kind of like a semester. But it can be done, and it is also summarized in the annual report, whereby you have that particular trend. The use of statistics The use of statistics is, among others, to enable police to do proactive policing. It's, among others, to adequately allocate resources among areas whereby problems had been identified. These statistics, ideally, they are designed to answer what happened, where it happened, when it happened. Now, after you had these statistics, you then move on to the level of intelligence analysis. Who are the groupings that are involved in these statistics? How do they infiltrate and plan their missions? Then you then move on to the level whereby you analyze the modus operandi in terms of how the people carry out their modus operandi. So this here gives you a broad overview, but the details will be contained in intelligence analysis, whereby they will identify threats, they will identify targets, they will identify the people who are the driving force behind certain crime phenomena. So these statistics are also used in a proactive manner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. Let us now allow our media colleagues who are not here with us today to also field in some questions via our WhatsApp line. Ignatius, please can you just take us through maybe the first 5 questions of what you have?
Thanks, Lorenzo. It just happens just to be 5 for now.
Wonderful.
The first question is from Marvin Idens, which is a freelance journalist. He asks, can SAPS confirm or deny the Monty Brothers ransom that was paid, and what was the method used to make the payment, and what unit would deal with high-profile kidnappings, and its subs concerned with the number of constables involved in police brutality. What is subs remarks on IP the report on Kinyu assassination? And then I have another question from Brian Sokudu from The Citizen. What is the subs plan in fighting crime in the coming festive season? And
should we just maybe wrap it up there, or is it just the last question?
No, it's not the last. There's just a couple.
Yeah, there's quite a few questions. So to just let maybe the principals answer those questions, then we'll have the last round, possibly. Minister, there are some questions.
Let's hear more.
Okay, sure. Let's go ahead, Ignatius.
Thanks, Minister. The next question is from Suman Naidu, who's a freelance journalist. Can the Minister provide an update into the investigations regarding the July unrest? Why have no high-profile figures been arrested yet? And the last question is from Patrick O'Leary from Fleet Watch Truck Magazine. He asked that truck hijacking is on the increase and is expected to increase even further with the upcoming Christmas season. Warehouses are now also being hit. Are you placing increased accent or specialized trained staff into this arena to combat this increasing crime? And also, do you have the exact count of the number of trucks that were banned and or destroyed during the July unrest, not just the 25 that were banned at Moyo River on July the 9th, but the total number over the unrest period? Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's take those responses, Minister.
No. I'll answer 2, but you'll answer the rest. Skukun, I thought you said the truck jack is 1 down or 1 up?
It's
1 down.
one down.
It's 1 down. Now, the increase, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know. Actually, we have arrested it, so we need to reverse it. It's one down already. So maybe the methods that he raises to be used are already in usage. So let's leave it. But it's not up, it's down. The IPID Kenya matter, I know that yesterday the IPID was to brief the family. That matter the IPID has done the briefing to the minister about it, and there's definitely many holes on it, and the minister have raised the issues about it, and we are looking at it. The team has agreed that the questions raised by ministry, as we were briefed with the deputy minister and our legal teams, there are things to be done. We will take it so far as a work in progress, though I know that the report has been signed by the ED, but we have agreed that is a work in progress. There are many questions that are unanswered. So our first prize here is that there are people, and including 2 more people that have been added in the arrest of the matter of Lieutenant Colonel Kenya. With the bottom line to say whoever, no matter what level, no matter who that person is, would have been found to have caused or part of causation of the death of Lieutenant Kenya, there will have to be consequences on that one. But for that to happen, it will have to be a watertight and well understood and agreed upon presentation from the IPID. IPID continues as we speak on it. Maybe Commissioner will add. At whatever level, the brutality of the police is absolutely cannot be tolerated. When they sometimes unprovoked, I just saw another video this morning where this police officer is clapping the lady, who looked not to be a problem or problematic about their activities or whatever they were doing. But I'm glad that that member has been identified from the police station of Tembisa in Gauteng, and the management is dealing with those. And we do make it very clear, starting from the national commissioner, provincial commissioners, and all else, that we cannot tolerate the unprovoked, even provoked misbehavior of the members of the South African police, especially to the vulnerable people. Why would you clap a lady in public for whatever reason? You would do that. But at the same time, we want to measure that with their own life police and their own safety. I'm sure there is a video that you have looked at of somebody that really does not respect law, does not respect other human beings. He's supposed to go in the lodge and relax, sleep there and do nice things in the lodge. You pay your money, get drunk, get in bed, rather than come and insult and endanger the lives of the officer uncalled for, including the staff of that lodge. So I've said this, we have said it time and again. We need to separate between policing ordinary citizens that have a right to protest, that have a right to raise issues, and we need to police them as such, protecting their constitutional right. But we need to, again, understand that we police people that are dangerous, are dangerous in the society. That guy is dangerous in society. And even now, I've congratulated those police that they really tried to stay within the law. That guy cocked the gun twice before he grabbed the gun from the officer. Those officers could have been long killed, including the staff there. It's a bad scene to look and all that, but we're giving the number of 23 police officers that have been killed. There were almost 5 of them, 4 or 5 of them. They could be adding on this number on the next quarter, including the very innocent people that are working there. So police must be trained to act with the normal policing of normal citizens, but also have a very high level of alert when it comes to situation where their life is threatened, like that one that was life threatening. Well, I don't want to talk about the young gentlemen that have gone amok on video after this. I've never had such a vulgar and from that young gentleman. And it's not too good when such things happen, and some portions of society that make noise, including the police, because there is a lot of noise about the police. I haven't had much noise about that gentleman, if he is a gentleman. I haven't had much noise about that young man who I've never had such insult in the new dispensation, calling every name you ever heard of some section of the population of the Republic of South Africa. And I don't hear any noise. I don't hear South Africans standing up and saying, but this can't happen. And by the way, crime and these things will be dealt with decisively when we all stand up. When we all stand up and say, not in the name of South Africans. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Minister, for the opportunity, and thanks for the questions to the media. The one that I'm going to deal with is for the Moti brothers. It will just suffice for me to say that our investigation has not yet revealed that there has been payment made. The investigation is still on. And if by any chance you do have concrete evidence that they have paid, I would advise that you share that with General Njinga. She is here and we can process that. But remember, both paying and kidnapping is a criminal offense, and it will have to be dealt with as such. I think the question of police brutality, the minister has responded to it. The only thing I can add is that police brutality is declared as a serious misconduct in terms of the SAPS discipline regulations. But police are equally encouraged to make maximum use of the police safety strategy in case they get provoked or attacked. The July unrest, I think we've just recently shared the figures that there was a total of 6,000 shared by both Gauteng and KZN on the people who has been arrested. Yes, in total shared, if we add both figures by KZN as well as Gauteng. There's obviously the well-known or the buzzword of the instigators. They were dealt with by the Special Investigation Task Team between Crime Detection and DPCI. And they were also dealt with those investigations are not yet finalized. On the truck hijacking, the minister has also indicated, I think this crime has stabilized. But obviously, there's other parts of it that continued to take place. What is important is that whenever a crime takes place, we must, as the police, provide a response. The response which is there is that there is a special investigation task team which is investigating truck hijackings. Secondly, the highway patrols, as well as all the other security forces that form part and parcel of the country in blue concept, they are occupying all the areas where the trucks are moving, all the routes, and as part and parcel of the festive season and beyond the festive season. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think we are going towards the later part of our media briefing. Hopefully it will be the last round. Let me just check in Pretoria if there is a question, and then we'll also take the questions on WhatsApp. Let me start with you, Newsroom Africa, and then ENCA.
From Newsroom Africa. Just with the issue of linked to the truck hijackings and perhaps business robberies, in terms of the police plans, I mean, you can't give us your full plans, but the festive season is traditionally, we see a hike in hijackings, business robberies, house breakings, those kind of crimes. Are there plans in place to mitigate this, and what lessons were learned from the period in question here, perhaps specifically the uprisings in Gauteng and KZN in the July period, where businesses were attacked, but there seemed to be no immediate response or reaction. Second to that, is your intelligence capacity as the SAPS, are you satisfied with it? Are you happy?
All right. ENCA?
Thank you. For Police Commissioner Ketla Sitole, the Human Rights Commission's inquiry into the July unrest, there's been testimony from the chairperson of the Durban Chamber of Commerce that claimed that the police commissioner in KwaZulu-Natal went missing during the unrest, and a number of senior officers, including generals, didn't answer their phones, went missing. That chairperson of the Chamber of Commerce also said, Minister, that she had called you and that you had told her that the army would be on the ground, but that only happened 2 or 3 days later. What do you think of this testimony and these claims?
All right, Ignatius, can you just take us through the questions on WhatsApp, please? We've got nothing. All right, I take it then that's the last 2 questions, Minister Generals. We'll start with the Minister, and then we'll end it up with the General for some responses.
Well, unfortunately, don't have time to sit on TV and listen all of you talking. we don't. Sometimes you are here and you listen to us rather than listen. It would have been really good to listen people talking about the unrest. I had very small snippets of the Chamber of Commerce, I think lady from PMB, and I think one from Durban. I did not hear that portion that he spoke to me and about the army. If the army took 3 days, it took a really short time. You in the world of news, you know that it takes a long time for the army to turn around to be there. It comes when the ministers, when the Minister of Police writes the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Defense, they jointly write the letter to the President. Well, we understand that this one was under emergency and all that. And the President, no ways that the army will get out of the bases, President having not said so. So once President says so, they put logistics on those matters to be there. Fortunately, One is invited by the commissioner, by the way. It's unfortunate that the day they pointed looks like is not a day that one will be available, but we are working on the day. With a full cooperation, we have made the statement, one has made the affidavit and all that. So my talk will be there rather than reporting to you now. I will report to the commission. Also, I would allow police to report on theirs rather than saying General Mkwanas and others were not available. I have my version. I have my version. We literally sat together from dawn to dusk. We would be in the operation room of municipality, or would be in the 17th floor of the South African Police Service headquarters in KZN, where we would be. But I would not stand here and say when they phoned, they found them and all that kind of stuff. But personally, there are many times that I phoned important South Africans and I could not find them in that particular time. I'm not going to speak on their behalf, they will speak. But I know, with the exception of what Mkwanazi would have raised when he speaks, and I will raise when the time speaks, I'm definitely not his lawyer. I'm not speaking on his behalf. He's very competent to speak for himself. I'm sure he has been invited by the commission. It's a period that we all regret, that would not have really happened, could have been handled better. But let's get that opportunity to put those things on the table when we speak to the commission. Festive season. For some reason, as the South African police, we get our praises on January, mostly, to say you had a good festive season. Is where the kutus come around January, and those kutus, they end there. I don't know why. I wish they would stay permanently, those kutus with the police. Because, to start with, no police officer goes to leave in December. Unless it would be the health issues or the real family matters and all. All police are called on come December. Commissioner can explain that. We are literally on the ground. We have already launched our safe season. Provinces have. But besides that, starting 10th, 9th, going to we are all accused by our families that we don't respect Christmas and festive season, because we're on the ground on all provinces. Though if you would know, there is a crime shift come festive season. At the present moment, the inland provinces are busy, but come your 10, 15, the coastal provinces become the provinces where everybody moves and accommodated, and we work accordingly in terms of resources and all that, working on the safe festive season. I've really listened to South Africans saying festive season is one of the times that they enjoy in South Africa. The time that might be bad is towards the festive season, on your cash heist and all that. I heard one analyst, I think was Dr. Becker this morning, saying that the criminals, they also suffered from cash flow during the COVID-19. But I must say, police have done a pretty good job coming to that situation. I'm quite impressed about this big hit of the police before the criminals hit the target. We have been finding them in their rooms in big numbers, planning guns. What I've come to understand and agree is that they are really multinational, these criminals. They are multinational and both multinational and multi-international. So you find almost everybody. They have gone big groups now, 20, 25, 27, like the one we found at in Midrand, there were 27. And they exchanged fire with the police, and the police did very well, find guns and all that, find cars, top performing cars that are stolen and hijacked. So we for that, looks like the intelligence is beginning to be in the grip for those things to happen before they hit. So maybe the reduction we see in the cash heist is an outcome of that better usage and better coordination on the different agencies of the security effort. So even now, we'll commit and make our promises and commitment to say Christmas must be safe and festive season. We just want to call on the communities as they move to their holiday to make the preparation of safety of their houses themselves, report to the neighbors and all that kind of thing, and work on things that criminals will easily notice that you are not there. The piling of your post in your post box and all that. So these are tips that usually when you talk to communities, you give don't tell too many people that you're going to the holiday. When they ask you, when are you holidaying? I'm holidaying in my house, and all those kind of stuff. So there are those tips that we deal with the communities. But we do want South Africans to enjoy Christmas. We do want South Africans to enjoy festive season and be safe all the time and festive season. South Africans work hard, so they must really play. As you all know that hard work without play makes John, if it is John, a dull boy. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Minister, for the opportunity. Maybe it might just be for me to add on the lessons that we have learned from the July unrest. I think firstly, we learned that there's a public violence modus operandi, which is explicitly meant to destabilize the country. And it was noted as a new modus operandi in the fall. Secondly, we've also learned that the community can be very instrumental in working together with the police to put violence to an end, which in this case happened. And for that, we then adopted the community activation plan within the community policing strategy. And it was introduced as one of the interventions which are currently part and parcel of the practice of the 72-hour activation plan. Then we've also then realized that there's a need for us to strengthen and sharpen the first responder capacity within the service, which does not only apply to SAPS, but all the security forces, including the metros, and the integration of resources there, putting together activation resources. The question of CI, which has been raised here, I think CI has been put on a corporate renewal plan as a result of this, and we are working on sharpening more and more of the CI capacity so that in future we become proactive. I think the question of the Commissioner of KZN, the Minister has responded But I thought I must indicate that government pays two categories of people. There are those who are paid to think and those who are paid to work. And Mkwanazi, as a provincial commissioner, is paid to think how the constables should be deployed and work in KZN. And whenever there's a situation like this particular crisis, in terms of the national directives which come from the command structure, he need to do what we call positional play. He may not be where you want him, but he will always be where we want him in terms of the command instructions. So that's what I can say with regard to this. We are also following on the modus operandi, and the public order modus operandi is now a culture of modus operandi analysis within the modus operandi analysis center. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General, for those responses. With that, we are going to bring this press conference to a close. I just do want to make a few acknowledgements regarding some of the questions that are on WhatsApp, especially coming from Patrick O'Reilly. That question is going to be answered by myself. You will get my numbers from the GCIS. And with that, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for always attending our press conferences, and hope you have a fantastic weekend ahead. Thank you.